Hey Schalke. So, as we mentioned in our report, there is going to be a large emphasis on leveraging paid traffic tools, specifically Facebook ads. And to be as comprehensive as possible, I'm going to quickly walk through the platform and demonstrate how we can set up the campaigns that were mentioned in the report. In front of me is the Facebook ads platform. Now, every user has access to this platform as long as there is an active account associated with it. In our case, we simply just need to make sure that we're logged in, whoever the admin is on Schalke Canada FC, and then we can access Facebook ads. So once we're logged in, we just need to visit facebook.com/ads manager and we'll arrive right here. And as we can see, the Facebook ad platform has a bunch of moving parts, but we will focus on what's important. And so for this demonstration, I'll go ahead and walk through the tutorial of how to set up the campaigns. And at the end, I'll show an example of what our ideal campaign setup should look like. So starting off, Facebook ads has a three-part funnel. The campaign holds the ad sets and the ad sets hold the ads. So let's take a look into what this might look like. So by default, the campaign's heading is highlighted, and so if we were to press create, this will open up a bunch of different campaign objectives that Facebook offers for different needs. And so in stage one of our grassroots marketing campaign, we will be launching a PPE campaign. And to get to a PPE campaign, we will be choosing engagement under the consideration objective. And as we scroll down to engagement type, we'll choose post engagement. And so this will ensure that we're paying Facebook to generate more likes, comments, and shares on all of our posts, whether it be on Facebook or Instagram. And so as I press continue, this will bring us to the campaign creation page. And there isn't anything too important on this page other than naming the campaign. And so for organization's sake, we'll go ahead and say that the campaign name would be PPE campaign in brackets stage one. And that's pretty much it. We'll go next. And as you can see, we've moved from the campaign level down to the ad set level. So here, things get a little bit more fun. We get to name the ad set, play with the budget, audience, all that good stuff. So we're actually going to skip the ad set naming just because we want to dial in on our budget as well as our audience. And then we can look to name the ad set after. And so in our report, we mentioned that the daily budget for a PPE campaign should be around $5 a day pessimistically or $10 a day optimistically. And so for the sake of this example, I'll go ahead and change it to $10. So change it to 9 because it wasn't giving me 10. And we'll change it back to 10. Okay, perfect. And so for the start date, we want to make sure that our data is consistent. And so because of that, we want to make sure that every time we're creating an ad set, that we're launching it at 12 a.m. the next day. So we'll go ahead and do that really quick. There we go. And for the end date, we don't need to set an option for this, specifically because we're going to be turning off specific ad sets as we see fit. And so moving on to the audience, here we're able to play with a bunch of different things. The main parts of audience that we want to focus on would be the location as well as the detailed targeting. So starting off with locations, it's defaulted to Canada, and so we'll keep it here, but the one thing that we do want to change would be this option here. So instead of people living in or recently in this location, we want to choose people living in this location. And so this will sort of filter out anybody that's maybe on vacation in Canada but is actually from the States. And so that fixes that part. And so we can ignore age and gender simply because these are very minuscule pieces of data. And as we gain more data throughout the weeks, Facebook's algorithm will actually adjust this ad set to a certain demographic. And so we don't need to touch age or gender because it'll do it itself. And so detailed targeting. Here we get to add different demographics, interests, or behaviors. And so this is something that we can play around with. However, I have developed 5 specific interests that can be chosen for each ad set within the PPE campaign. And again, this is something that can be played with, but this is just our recommendation. And so choosing the detailed targeting, I've developed 5 different interests. The first one would be soccer fans with high engagement, right here, perfect. The next one would be the MLS, so Major League Soccer. The next one is Association Football. Then we have German Football League system, pop up right here. And then finally we have the Germany national football team. Perfect. And as you can see, our reach is around 13 million people, which is awesome. And we're getting around 251 daily engagements, which is awesome as well. And so you could definitely make the argument in which we could add more interests to increase our reach and get more daily engagement. However, with that, we also only do have a daily budget of around $5 to $10. And so adding more interest will sort of be spreading ourselves too thin, and we won't really be able to dial in on a specific audience that is engaging with Schalke. And so we'll set it to just 5 interests for now. And again, this is something that can be played with, but this is just the strategy that we recommend. And this is pretty much it on this end. Everything else we can leave as is. And so we'll press next and we'll move on to the ad level. And so with the ad level, here we're actually able to choose the content that we're advertising towards. Now, I am using my brother's advertising account just sort of as a blank slate. And so I've created a sample e-commerce Facebook page and Instagram page just to sort of mimic what it would look like for Schalke. And so here we can name our ad and then we can choose our identity, which would be our Facebook page and our Instagram page. So of course, this would all be Schalke. And so for ad setup, we're going to be using our existing post. So here, this allows us to choose posts that have already been uploaded to our social media. And so we can depict this through the ad creative, where we can press select post. We can filter through Facebook or Instagram. Let's say Instagram. And then we can choose something like this. And then if we press continue, then we can go ahead and see the different placements. So on our Facebook feed, it'll look like that. On our Instagram, it'll look like this, all that good stuff. And here we don't need to have a call to action. That isn't necessary. Placements, we can leave it as is because, again, Facebook's algorithm will sort of allocate its spending to the most popular placement as it gains more data. And so that is all good to go. Tracking we don't need to worry about because we're not tracking any purchases or any lead generation, anything like that. So we'll leave that as is. And then just for the sake of organization, we can keep the ad name sort of as reference to what the content was being posted. So if it was a game highlight, maybe I'll put game highlight of November 17th, 2020, something like that. And so with that, that completes the campaign for PPE. And so because this is a new account, I do have to set it up, but nothing too important. Canada, Canadian dollar, time zone, not the biggest deal. And so that is good to go. Now that we've gone over the PPE campaign, I'm going to quickly demonstrate how we can set up a retargeting campaign for stage 2. And so proceeding as normal, we'll click create under campaigns. Just uncheck that. And instead of choosing engagements for a PPE campaign, we're actually going to go ahead and go to awareness and we'll click reach. And so what this will allow us to do is to reach the maximum number of people, as this is sort of our objective, as we want as many people to see our content as much as possible. And so on this page, everything will be the same. So we can name the campaign retargeting campaign stage 2. And so nothing changes here. We'll click next. And here we're only going to be changing the budget and the audience. So the rest we're going to keep the same as stage 1. And so on budget, previously we had $5 or $10. But for the retargeting campaign, we're going to have $10 a day pessimistically or $20 a day optimistically. And again, for this scenario, we'll go ahead and put $20 just for the example. And again, we're going to be keeping things consistent. So we're going to be changing all of our ad set launch times to be 12 a.m. for the next day. And so moving on to the audience, the one thing that we do need to be aware of is the custom audience here. Because with a retargeting campaign, we're no longer focusing on detailed targeting, but we're focusing on using the data that we've gained from stage 1 to develop a custom audience to target to new people. And so in this section, we're going to keep Canada the same. Of course, we're going to change it to people living in this location. And we'll go ahead and create our custom audience. So clicking on create new, custom audience. And so what we're going to do is click Instagram and choose, we're going to use Facebook sources and we're going to click on Instagram account. And so what this will allow us to do is to choose, is to target people who have engaged with your professional account in the past 365 days. So we can actually change this depending on the timeline. So we're going to change this for 90 days. And we're doing this because for this example, I've gone ahead and chosen the 1 to 3 month timeline. So we'll do 90 days. But if we were to choose the 2 to 5 month timeline, then we would do 150 days instead, and so on. And so if we go ahead and look at this, 90 days, right here. So we can get an idea of what this will do. So everyone who engaged with your professional account on Instagram. So this includes people who have visited your account, liked, comment, saved, all that good stuff. So we can go ahead and name this audience something like Instagram engagement 90 days, just to keep it organized, and we'll go ahead and create that audience. We'll press done, but we're not going to stop there because on our marketing campaign, we are using the data gained from our Instagram posts as well as our Facebook posts. So alongside the Instagram engagement, we're also going to pick Facebook page, and that will allow us to do the same, but on Facebook. And so we'll just change this back to the sample e-commerce store. And again, we're going to change this to 90 days. And then if we were to just click here, the same thing, reactions, shares, comments, all that good stuff. And to keep it consistent, we'll put Facebook engagement 90 days, right? So that is all good to go. Now, we're basically done. We've set the location, we've set the custom audience. We don't need to do any detailed targeting because again, our Facebook pixel has sort of gathered all the data that it's needed, and we'll be good to go to target a audience that falls under that custom audience. And so that's about it. We can go ahead and press next. And moving on to the ad level. Okay, so it's chosen a different Facebook page that I have. So we'll just use this as an example. So choosing the Facebook page, the Instagram account, ideally it would all be Schalke here. And then we would go to use an existing post again, select the post, but instead of choosing the content like game highlights, here for the retargeting campaign, we would be choosing our either the application process for the competition or the application process for the ambassador group. And from there, we are pretty much good to go, and we can press publish. And again, we do have to set up the ad account, which I'm not going to do. But if I were to go back, we have our 2 campaigns. And to conclude, this is pretty much all that we need to know in terms of Facebook ads. We learned how to set up a PPE campaign for stage 1, and we learned how to set up a retargeting campaign for stage 2. And this is everything that we need to know for this grassroots marketing campaign.